Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Melvyn Mark, and today in this setting called the Founders Lounge, I want to talk to you about how to deal with the issue of social impact, okay, in the space of social impact. Let me share screen by getting into this part of it. Okay. I think it's best. What I'll like to do is that I'd like to spend about just 10 minutes giving an intro, and then we can have a Q&A session, right? Okay. So I'd like to share about what Transformational Business Network Asia, or TBN Asia, is all about. Okay. We basically deal with fighting poverty through enterprise. And being a network, we develop an ecosystem to support social enterprises in Southeast Asia. So the region that we're dealing with is Southeast Asia through collaboration, empowerment, dignity, hope, and community and restoration. So that's where we are at. Presently, we are using what we call 5 pillars or 5 programs that outwork it. So on one hand, we have on the left-hand corner, we have what we call the Social Enterprise Training Hub. This is to train social enterprises that are revenue generating to be investment ready. And then we have an expertise network that comprises industry mentors, coaches, as well as trainers and specialists that comes alongside to help these social enterprises. And the Conferencen Events basically brings about the whole ecosystem. We have the Investors Club Resilience Program. I'll talk a little bit about it as we go on, right? So the conferences, because we operate in the Southeast Asian regions, is ASEAN. So the aim right now is to operate in 5 big ASEAN nations: Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand. Presently, we are having conferences in Malaysia and Indonesia. We started with Singapore. So TBN basically runs conferences to bring the ecosystem together. So the aim is to see these conferences being on a hybrid basis. In other words, it both virtual and actual exhibitors on site. That's a challenge that has been posed to us because of COVID-19, all right? But we find that every challenge is also an opportunity. So in these kind of conferences, it's not just about getting knowledge, but about how we can collaborate for projects. So we include things like pitching and awards as well. So that's the aim, that moving forward, we hope to develop the ecosystem into all the 5 Asian nations, okay, South ASEAN nations. Now for SETH, which is the Social Enterprise Training Hub, we actually have a curriculum that is enabling community flourishing. So it continues to be developed. We hope that we'll arrive at a scalable solution that involves partnership with universities, training institutes, with actual project involvement. So it's not, I would say, an academic approach that will have evidence-based measurement. So that's something that we are moving toward. And we link the expertise network and investor circle for pipeline integration, because you can't just run a program and train them. You got to expose them to connect with potential investors. And it can be operated both virtually on location, and because again, as I say, the pandemic actually offers us that opportunity to do that. And we deal with impact trips that brings forth regional investment opportunities, so that you can actually engage, see the projects. We normally say get a feel and smell poverty, right? So that's the whole idea of social impact that we are getting involved with. Okay, one example of SETH training in the cohort. So I'm giving you actual startups that we are involved with, but they are involved with what we call seaweed biotechnology company. They help seaweed farmers grow a good quality seaweed, because seaweed basically cleanses the ocean. It's sustainable, but you can produce out of that food, fertilizers, biodegradable plastics, and so on. Okay, jump too fast. Medicines. So it becomes both a combination of biotechnology for science, sustainability, plus job creation and empowerment, because it gives jobs for the seaweed farmers. You can uptake that. There's another one that's interesting. It's called I'm So Ing. That basically is using music technology, all right, to help movement in terms of therapy. So the helps in the engagement of the elderly, as well as, you know, those who have special needs, people who, you know, as a result of a stroke or something like that. So it's engagement on a health level, but it actually also helps what we call intergenerational connection as well. So it's dynamic. In fact, I'm So Ing has been award winners, both from DBS, NUS, you know, and some of the what we call silver generation kind of award. So it's pretty interesting. So these are among some of the cohorts that are in our social entrepreneurship training. I mean, I myself started up together with some founders, what we call Explorer. So make up 2 words, X as in the X of doing good, and explore, the joy of exploring, basically dealing with impact travel for change. We work with, example, groups and universities that develop and help projects in livelihood empowerment in Southeast Asia. So we work with some of our major universities in Singapore as well. So that's something that is key. So I also took the journey of learning how to be a startup and how to be sustainable through that. And then, aside from the Social Enterprise Training Hub, we have an expertise network that brings together industry experts. And as we go on, we want to be more and more targeted. In other words, what is industry-specific mentors? Because it's quite different to have a mentor that takes care of a coffee, as well as mentor that takes care of you know, vegetables. Quite different, although they are in what we call the space of agriculture. So that's important. And then we have an investor circle that deals with a whole continuum of grant making, of debt. Okay, we call it convertible loans, of equity. So it's a journey of combining investors into what's there in the pipeline. Okay, partnerships with other minded investors, organizations. We have a loose network of investors in Southeast Asia, so that certain things like club deals or syndicated deals of smaller amounts, they take baby steps to begin involved in it. Because if you don't have the money, social enterprise in the impact space will not happen. Okay, so we try to develop, create pipeline on both the SETH cohort as well as a larger TBN ecosystem. Now, if you look at the whole impact spectrum for engagement where it needs to be funded, on one hand is what we call the charity, and that's a lot of charities, NGOs, foundations where they are. But on the other hand is basically just making money. So what is impact? First is really the middle segment that includes social enterprise that are breaking even, social enterprises that are profitable for investment, and social enterprises that can distribute, okay, can scale. So that's the whole continuum, and we get people along that journey. So one of the things that we want to engage in is widen and broaden the spectrum. Now, so at the end of it is one of our, I would call, partner funds. Partner funds means TBN doesn't own it, but Guarded Impact is specially set up to bring about investment for sustainability and scalability of social impact. So it's a very business-led kind of fund that targets social change. Okay, that's where we are. And one example would be the Agape Call Center. It employs prisoners still serving sentence, and of course, out of after release as well, but serving corporate clients. So this is something that's dynamic and something that is both having a social KPI as well as a financial KPI. It's not easy, but something worthwhile doing because it's filled with purpose. Okay. Another one is Green Hope in Indonesia, whereby they work with cassava farmers to deal with biodegradable plastics. So it addresses both an environmental issue, but job sustainability, livelihood empowerment. So these are some of those. I'm just giving you a general idea, but you can connect. You can look at, check out their websites and connect with them. And then we have another platform called community engagement, where we are very keen, because in our Southeast Asian context, there needs to be a lot of interfaith collaboration, but through projects, through sustainability, through fighting poverty, through enterprise. So equipping them, getting them to be involved with not just economic empowerment, but building character, building leadership, building strength, building communication, building relationship. That's the key. And then at the end of the day, the outcome must be measured well. Evidence-based outcome. That's where we are targeting. We want to be heading, so that it's not just something fluffy that we try to do, but it nails down with evidences, hard evidences in terms of quantitative measurement, and qualitative ones where you probably have to deal with, video documentary evidences and testimonials. So it's important in this whole subject of the talent pavilion and future of work that we deal with, even as entrepreneurs or startups that you're thinking about. There are a few frameworks that we need to deal with. First is reframing our thinking, because we need to tackle social impact not as social welfare. It is about social innovation. Okay. Second is reinventing ourselves to think not just vocation specific but talent focused. So all this is something that we are passionately involved with. We want to be able to share. The third is resizing opportunities. That's why it's never about Singapore alone, because if you look at the whole region that you have, is 100 times more. Singapore is 6 million people. This one is 600 million in Southeast Asia. So I make a bold statement. I say, if you want to look at the future, I think social impact is the future. Every, whether it is digitization, technology, and so on, they will be headed toward that kind of a way, because it is both about the future, it is both about sustainability, it's both about something that will bring meaning to what it is. All right. So if you want to connect with us, look at our website, www.tbn.asia, or you actually can email us directly, info@TBN Asia. All right. Now, I want to end up by, we have a gallery on thought leadership, and I just want to share that with you in case you have not visited it. But it will stay there, I think, at least for a year. Let me see, where is that? Oh, it's gone. I'm sorry, it's gone. So, okay, I finished sharing, but I like to field questions. I know that there are about 20 people that have weigh in. I think what we can do, we have got someone who is an admin here, Sebastian. Either Sebastian or myself, we can unmute you, right? Or actually, you have a freedom to unmute yourself, and then you can ask questions. And aside from me, I think there are some of TBN people here who can help answer some of the questions. Okay, can I open it to the floor? Yes, let me see whether somebody posted anything. Okay. If you have questions, please, unmute yourself and we can interact like that, because in a small chat room like that, we can be a bit more personal. Okay. What is your advice to young graduates interested in this line of work? I think one of those. Now, please, I think there's an ecosystem of people around here. You are welcome to weigh in as well, right? I mentioned that basically, if you look at the space of social impact, there's a lot you can connect with. Okay, TBN is not the only one, but TBN, we actively link up all the ecosystem. So I would think that one of those will be connect with us. Okay, link up with us at TBN. We can do referral for you. And if you are in a startup kind of situation, or you intend to do some startup, one of those things is that we've got actually a team that can maybe perhaps, aside from giving you some suggestions or connections, they can actually connect you with some of our expertise network people. Okay, these are all passionate people in the same space. Okay, so I don't know if that would meet your questions, but okay, let me see. Okay, I've got Wayne here. Okay, Wayne is our social enterprise training hub lead. All right, Wayne, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that, because I think this is a great subject for, let's say, undergraduates or people thinking of starting up.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of shifting trends. Sebastian, first and foremost, thank you for your interest. If you look back about 10, 15 years ago, no one in Singapore would consider startup as a good career path, or not intuitively. Today, parents are actually open to startup or tech startup in general as a possible career path, and it just feels like is any other possible career path other than government and corporate, right? Which is great. So I think in the area of social enterprise or impact businesses, this is pretty much where the startup scene was about 15 years ago, right? Whereby you are not only just a startup, but you also are a startup that wants to pursue impact creation. So that's a good positive trend. That also means that because this area is relatively nascent, if you want to start somewhere, you don't know where to start, right? So my advice to young people like yourself usually is to say that would you want to consider interning at one of these companies, right? It could be either way. You want to intern with a nonprofit, that's one possibility. You want to intern at a social enterprise itself, that's also a possibility. There are already a couple of the folks here. Some of them are based in Singapore, some of them based outside of Singapore. So I see Michelle is here, I see Simon is here. There are a couple more names that I'm not as familiar. Maybe you guys are also with a social enterprise. Of course, you're also welcome to come and consider interning with us, TBN Asia, as an organization. So do reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to point you to some directions.
Yeah, thank you. So one of those things that perhaps is so important to know is that I think social impact or social enterprise always starts up with a great passion. You want to do something, right? But actually the challenge is how to be sustainable, because I think that the majority of social enterprises that are in Southeast Asia finds it a great struggle to be sustainable and scalable. So I thought, let me see, I think I know someone familiar here. All right, if I can invite maybe Mason to comment about it. Mason runs a social impact fund. It's called Garden. To give us an idea of, hey, what do we look for? How do you get your business to be investment ready, right? I think that's the key. Mason?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good to see everyone here. Well, that's $1 million question. How to be investment ready.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is really, as all investors really like to look at, is your financial status. Be open about it in terms of, are you pre-revenue, or what is your monthly burn rate is like, and of course, more importantly is how much you need to raise. You need to do what we call homework yourself first. Um, and of course, not everyone is financially savvy. So be be open about asking for help, because financial investors are very, or not even financial, even impact investors are very sensitive to numbers. Whatever number you say will always register in our head. So you cannot keep changing your numbers. It will lose credibility in the eyes of investors. So I think that is something that for each social entrepreneur to be mindful. Of course, if you are not ready, please do alert the investor first, because once you share the numbers, you cannot keep changing. It's about credibility. And another important thing is that when you are doing fundraising, you need to be very clear about your proposition. Bear in mind that you are not the only startup around in this space. There are many, many competitors. You must do some sort of assessment of your competition, of what we call a competition landscape, in terms of how are you different from the others, what's so unique about your product or solution, and what makes you think you can do better than the others or succeed. Yeah. So I think that is something that as a still learning impact investor, I would advise you to start with dealing with the numbers. I know many of you are not financially savvy. Again, you need to have some fundamental understanding, because understanding financials is very crucial for what we call corporate governance, financial check and balance, and control. So I think this is my limited contribution at this time. Thank you,
Yeah.
Bob.
Thank you, Mason. Appreciate that. We've got a few more minutes, but I think there are two questions here that I think could be combined together, right? Let me read the questions out. First question is, Southeast Asia is made up of a lot of different cultures and languages. How does one overcome this challenge to be able to work in this space and tap on the market? And then I have got Simon from Sidling, who says how to start. Now, Simon operates in another culture, actually specifically in Sabah, Malaysia. Okay. And then he offers some suggestions. I would recommend volunteering both locally and also in new countries, and so on, to deal with that. It says it can be tough getting into initial volunteer position when you have no experience, so don't expect any pay, okay? Show persistence, because NGOs get a lot of flaky cold calls. All right, now I wonder if Simon, you can help weigh in, because you're operating on another culture, okay? You are Ang Mo, but you are operating in the culture that is not just Malaysia, but Sabah. Sabah is really a bit different from Peninsular Malaysia. Would you want to give a response to someone who asked?
Yeah, really happy to weigh in, particularly because we work with seaweed communities, and these are, often they're sea gypsies, so they don't have a nationality, and they're a complete cultural group to themselves. So they're really, really unique. And then you get different cultures amongst the different communities. So they can, they can be living in villages next door to each other, but they can be completely different. I would just say come in really, really open-minded and just sit and listen and talk with people and just be really, really open just to spend time and understand how different cultures operate. And, you can come in with a framework, with a plan, and it might be really well prepared and it might work with another group, but you've got to be able to be adaptable, really, really adaptable.
Yeah. Thank you, Simon. I think it's complex. I know that Southeast Asia is not homogeneous, but one of the key things that is important for starting is connect with an ecosystem like us, because we seek to operate and want to develop more and more connections with Southeast Asia. So check with us. We don't know everything, but we can connect you with somebody who knows about the country. Just like, for example, when we work with Indonesia and Malaysia, we actually deal with in-country partners. So you don't kind of you want to tackle all the countries without knowing what exactly who are the players that are there. Okay. Yeah, I think it's 11 o'clock. If there are further questions, please feel free to connect with us in TBN, because that's where we are. And we'll be happy to link up with you. Okay? All right, let me see who else have a chat here. Okay. I think Michelle talks about the fact that it's interesting. She's in Singapore. She's doing something that is both socially very helpful and connects with music technology. She's one of our cohort that is going through training, and that's our passion, to be able to help her to be investment ready. So tweaking business models, connecting with people, and so on. All right. Is there any questions? Okay. I mean, the boss here says I can have another few more minutes if you are there. All right. Can you see that Sue, who is running the Singapore FinTech Festival Talent Pavillion? Yep. All right.
Thank you, Melvyn. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. Thank you, everybody.